am here in studio with State Representative Joan Meschino of Hull. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm always delighted to be here with you.
Oh, isn't it wonderful? And you know what? It's not 8 degrees outside. I'm delighted about that. And you're not walking across the ice in the parking lot. It's the small things.
55 degrees. This is great.
Hey, I'm all about women power. So I wanted to ask you about the Massachusetts Caucus of Women Legislators. I had no idea this organization was this old because I hadn't really been aware of this till about, I'd say, like 10 or 15 years ago. But it's been around for what, 50 years?
50 years. We are celebrating 50 years this year. It's caucuses at the state level and the state house are really about shared interest groups. But the Women's Caucus actually has a line item to support it and dedicated staff to really, it's us taking seriously advancing women in government, women's issues, I should say women and children's issues. And it's just a space for us to come together and really advocate for the important things. I mean, some of the legislative priorities have been dealing with domestic violence and maternal health and all of those kinds of things, economic empowerment, and it's really a great space just to get to know and to work closely with all of the other women legislators.
And it's amazing, too, if you look at some of the numbers, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, there are women in the legislature, but not nearly as many as men, even half as many men.
We cannot seem to break this. With 31%, there are 62 women in the House and the Senate right now. We just can't seem to get past this 31%. But if you notice, a lot of women have been running from Plymouth County now. So we actually are a majority woman county as a delegation, which is pretty exciting. But so women are definitely running. They're definitely putting themselves out there, and they're getting elected. But if there's, however many thousands of men have been elected over the years, there's only, right now, the 241st woman got elected this year. I mean, it's just...
That's it?
Yeah, it's just...
Hey, come on, people.
I know. Come on, girls. Let's get out there.
And I'm thinking back to people I remember because I've been here for decades, and I remember, like, back in the day, Mary Jeanette Murray.
Yes.
She would be in that list because she was one of the pioneers, and she held the seat, which was very similar to yours. Some of the boundaries have changed for what? Was she in that seat for 20 years?
Oh, easily.
Maybe longer?
More. Mary Jeanette, so it was actually Carolyn Stouffer who was representing Hingham, and she was the 48th woman. And then Mary Jeanette was, if you remember, representing Cohasset and Hull. She was the 51st member. And then they combined through redistricting. And if you can believe it, I'm actually the 195th woman to run and get elected to the legislature. So we've got a lot more to get there, girls.
Right.
So get out there.
And of course, you also had this Senate President Therese Murray there, probably, at one point, the most powerful woman in the state and probably one of the top 3 most powerful people, period, male or female, in the state.
She's so fabulous, and she's still so influential, and she's still so great to all of the women that run. So what we're doing is part of the 50th celebration, 50 years of the caucus celebration, we're actually highlighting on social media and on the websites all of the women who have run. So if you check out the Women's Caucus on, say, Instagram or something like that, you can see all of the different women. And it's really exciting to see how far back they go, to the 1900s and sort of the turn century there. And then now it's just growing. But we've still got a ways to go. And honestly, it's a great job. It's a hard job to get. You have to pull papers. You have to put yourself out there and campaign. But boy, once you get elected, it's public service at its finest, really. Constituent services, which we always talk about, and taking care of people, helping your districts navigate the, all of the state agencies and the grant programs, and really promoting. And then you get to write laws and vote on laws. So it's a really cool job, as I'm hoping I'm not inspiring anyone to run against me, but that's okay too.
Well, it's great that you're still so excited about your job and doing that. You're not jaded or burned out by it. I think a lot of people in many jobs after a couple of years like that forget it, but you're pumped. That's terrific. What about committee assignments? Rumor has it you're on something that involves advanced IT.
Yes. So we voted the rules finally. That was great. So now that creates the committees, and that's the committee assignments. assignments. So I'm on it's a long one, advanced IT, technology, and cybersecurity maybe. But what's important about being on that committee is that is where our favorite bill on community media centers, that's where that bill will be assigned. And that was the committee we worked with last year to really negotiate consensus language. So remember, we refiled with the consensus language. So we are not starting from scratch. We're just continuing our advocacy, and I'd really love to see us get that one across the finish line so that we can create that sustainable revenue stream to support our PEG access channels.
Now, for people that are not familiar with that, just a quick Cliff Notes version of why this is so important.
So if you remember, this is transparency in government, right? This is the entities that do all of the committee hearings from like selectmen and school committees, and I'll be on with Senator O'Connor in front of the Cohasset School Committee tonight. So you'll be able to actually log in and watch as it's streamed live. And these are the departments, these are the entities that do it, our community media centers, and the revenue is drying up as people change how they access entertainment media. And so all we're saying is let's update that law so that we're getting the revenue streams from all of those services in support of a very important public purpose.
Right. So in other words, so many people are cutting back on cable. That's where those fees came from. But, it's with the cutback, or some people say demise, of many of the local papers, this service is invaluable. We can't cover everything. We cover a lot of towns and a lot of stuff, but we can't get to every town and every meeting. And
hyper local news, and it's what everyone wants. And can you get to a school committee meeting? Is there room to sit in there? I mean, honestly, to be able to live stream these things or to go back and watch something that was taped, hugely important, so that you can see for yourself what's going on, hear the discussion, sign up to testify, and actually make public comment at the top of those meetings.
Invaluable service. I can't say enough about the community access stations. It's not your father's community access station. It's amazing, not only all the meetings they cover, but all the shows they produce. It's very impressive.
And they're starting to regionalize. I mean, take a look at Harbor Media was born of Hingham, and now they are collaborating and in a partnership, a contractual relationship with Norwell. Norwell. And look at how that has they're not only are they doing the work, they're also training the next generation of producers and all of the creatives, and they've wonderful internship programs there where they're bringing these kids in and really training them, and they are off the charts amazing. And so I have to wonder, is like the next piece of this regionalization as well, when you share resources. But for right now, I mean, the important thing is to make sure that all of these centers, these community media centers, these PEG access channels, make sure that they have a sustaining revenue stream.
Absolutely.
That they have to keep thriving.
And speaking of money, what's this year's budget look like? I know a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah, budget's up next. So anyone can certainly access the governor's budget, and that shows you what our priorities are. But the budget has come to the House, and we're in the process of debating right now. So as always, I'll be in there for strong municipal aid, and you know me in particular, I really advocate a lot for libraries, for municipal aid to state aid to municipal libraries. But I think people are going to be a little surprised. It's a tighter budget than we're used to having. I mean, we've been spending a lot of COVID money, and that worked like a charm. It did the economic turn, and we really sustained across the pandemic very well. But that money is come to an end, and so I think you're starting to see a strong economy, but like a retraction, and so money's just not as readily available, and everything costs more. So you're seeing that at the municipal budget level, right? Because everyone's getting ready for town meeting, and you see that at the state level as well. So that debate is just starting now, and I'll be going in to see the chair soon about my priorities, as I said.
What's the buzz on Beacon Hill about possible cutbacks in federal funding?
Boy, everybody is just wondering what is going to come next. So far, knock on wood, everything, there's been no real direct run on things. But, I mean, people are looking at, Medicaid, right? Like Medicaid money. And there's been a lot of talk about that in the federal government and eliminating that. And think about down here on the South Shore, we have such a strong commitment to developmentally disabled adults, to our seniors, to our veterans. That's who are supported by all these Medicaid money. I mean, that's how your grandmother is in the long-term care facility and different things like that. So we're watching closely. We are very well represented between Congressman Lynch and Congressman Keating. We have a very seasoned, experienced, delegation at the federal level. And Congressman Lynch had a town hall on Zoom the other night. And, one of the things he was saying was he actually put himself requested, because he has seniority, to be the minority member on, and forgive me if this is is the shorthand of DOJ committee, so he can keep an eye on things and be right there on the front lines to advocate against it, to raise the red flags. So our delegation is really working hard, and just, kudos out to Congressman Lynch and Congressman Keating. They're doing a great job.
Well, I want to ask you one more quick question here. The three towns you represent, Hull, Hingham, Cohasset, are they asking you any specific things right now? So
we talk to them all the time. I think probably the thing they share is what our revenues look like, right? They want to understand that, and what's municipal aid going to look like, because we really have to stay the course from the state on the state level, because that's just. How do I even put it? It's like that's real money to our municipalities. If they have to go to town meeting, and how to predict what the state revenues will be, is always a hard thing. So Senator O'Connor and I get in there, and we advocate for these things all the time. But that's the big focus right now, is what does that municipal aid look like? That's school money, right? Chapter 70. That's roadway money. We did bond Chapter 90, so that should be coming to them no problem. But then there's the general aid that they get, the library aid. There's a lot of different pieces to that that just help support municipal operations, and it's just money that's not on the tax, on the revenue tax basis is the property taxes. So it just helps. Even every little bit helps. So,
yeah. To be continued.
Yes.
But we always appreciate you joining us here again. That State Representative Joan Meschino of Hull, giving us an update on the district. We'll talk with you again in a couple of weeks.